Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to another YouTube video here on the KP's Plays channel, or if you're listening over on Spotify for podcasters, another podcast. Today is a very special one. We're doing our SummerSlam predictions video and podcast. And obviously, as you guys are aware, if you're frequent viewers, we are going to go through our predictions, our theories, discussions about every single one of the matches on the card for SummerSlam as things stand. Today, I'm actually joined by not just Kurt and by Scarlett, but also by two newcomers to the predictions videos and podcasts. And we're joined by NoSellCov on Twitch. Dan, his actual name is known as, and also joined by Nikolai as well. So also on Twitch, Nikolai Volkov. So we're going to be joined by four guys today. And yeah, five of us in total. Let's get down to business. Let's get chatting about everything involved in SummerSlam this coming Saturday in Detroit. So let's get started there with our first match then. What's it going to be? We have got the SummerSlam Battle Royal that we're going to be discussing here and now. I mean, quite an easy one to discuss here in terms of like limited time really to go through, because we don't really know that much about this one. It's only really been announced, I think it was last week. And we know very few people who are actually going to be involved in this one. Call it your filler match, call it what you want. Basically, people who aren't on the card in other ways, shape, or forms. So far, by the looks of things, the only people announced for this Battle Royal are the likes of Tommaso Ciampa, the Alpha Academies, Otis and Chad Gable, Shinsuke Nakamura, LA Knight, and Sheamus. So, I mean, it is quite difficult to say what we think is going to go down in this one, considering we only know, seven of the guys involved here. Six of the guys involved. So, you don't really have a clear consensus, but I would probably say that this is a really good opportunity to get that LA Knight, hype train started. So fingers crossed they do pull the trigger, because if not, then I don't know when they're going to do it. I think this would be a nice time to, kickstart the momentum for him, get things rolling. I think he's ready for it. So yeah, fingers crossed to see what happens. But this is an opportunity for people who aren't on the card to be showcased in some shape or form. So I'm looking forward to this one. I guess we'll see what happens, really. That's all I can really say this one. Let's say it's not really too much to gauge at the moment.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it on this one. This one's hard to decide as we haven't got much wrestlers to agree from. And on the picture, so far, I'm going to think that LA Knight will pick up the win to this Battle Royal and advance to take on Austin Theory for his title.
Cheers. Yeah, interesting one. Real interesting one. I think it has to be LA Knight, right? There's no other option to win this Battle Royal but LA Knight. I think there was other superstars announced potentially, such as Karrion Kross, AJ, maybe, and a few others. Just the ones who obviously don't have a match on the card. But it's really hard to see past LA Knight winning this. And was it the fact that when there is a win, he does get a shot at the US title from this? Is that right?
I've heard things about it. I don't know whether I dreamt it, but I think you might be right. I think so. It rings a bell. Yeah,
it just seems to be added in at a really strange late time. It's like something has happened where they needed to really shove this in to have a Battle Royal. Like you said, it was only last week that it was announced, right? So despite the presence of some like bigger stars, it feels like, LA Knight has to win this. If not, then I think the place is going to erupt and riot, because I cannot see past LA Knight winning this.
I've seen a couple people complain about this match on Twitter. It's like, what's the point of this match? But like, here's the thing. Wrestling fans got to stop taking all this stuff seriously. And I see it with AEW too. They're all like, oh, what's the storyline with this match on Dynamite? What's going on with here? Like, what's the point of this match? This is just to have fun. Like, for the people in the crowd, this is just a fun match to enjoy, to see all the superstars that aren't really in a one-on-one match or anything on the card. So that's just my whole thing with the Battle Royal, about people complaining about, like, why is this on the card? Like, it's just for fun. But I do think LA Knight is the obvious pick, but it is SummerSlam season. So WWE could be primed to have some sort of return or someone in this match. Might not win, but this could be a prime return for, say, Randy Orton, maybe. He could come in and win. That'd be pretty cool to see. But if that doesn't happen, I think LA Knight is the obvious pick for this match.
Yeah, I think you bring a good point. I do think that sometimes wrestling is taken a little too seriously. But to counter that exact point, I think in lieu of this Battle Royal that doesn't have a lot of meaning, even if it does have a U.S. title implication. They've been building that on SmackDown for how long, and that didn't have a great payoff either. But you could argue that maybe a SmackDown Women's title, a tag team title, or a U.S. title match could have taken place instead of this. That being said, I don't have anything much else to add that hasn't already been said. I think the rumor is that LA Knight was supposed to get his push this time. The rumor is after SummerSlam. So what a great way to kickstart that with LA Knight winning this. But just to be different, I think Shinsuke is going to win this.
Yeah, Nikolai brought up a really good point about the potential of somebody else returning, perhaps coming in, shocking people, getting like a surprise win on a return. I quite like the sound of that. It's a good opportunity to build a little bit of like suspense and like hype around someone coming back. So I like that. It's a really good idea. Maybe they'll go in that direction. We'll have to wait and find out and see. So, okay, let's move on now and let's discuss something a little bit different. And up next is the rubber match. So we have got Brock Lesnar taking on Cody Rhodes. And obviously this goes way back to like months and months ago, where obviously Cody Rhodes would defeat Brock Lesnar at Backlash. Then we'd have Brock Lesnar defeat Cody Rhodes at Night of Champions. And now obviously we go to SummerSlam and we have the third of the three. We think is only going to be a three anyway. After this one, I'd imagine Cody and Brock will go separate ways. But yeah, I mean, it's been pretty sort of like intense throughout the build up here towards this point. I think obviously, you know, Brock's intentions regarding this one have never really been completely clear as to why he's gone after Cody, but it sort of happened and it spiraled and it's like, you know, snowball affected into SummerSlam. So I can't see Cody losing this match. I think Cody has to win here just to sort of like get back on track. He's gone through a little bit of hard times with Brock Lesnar, and yeah, it doesn't really make any sense for Brock to beat Cody on this occasion, I don't think. As to what happens afterwards, obviously that'll be a case of just waiting and finding out. But yeah, Cody to win against Lesnar, that's my simple and straight up opinion regarding this one.
Yeah, I'm agreeing to KP on this one. I'm going to go with Cody as well, because his feud going over and over now, and we all know that Cody Rhodes is going to put the full stop onto this, and there's apparently rumours that Bray Wyatt will going to return at the end of this match to challenge Cody for matches onwards. I'm going for Cody to win this match, and possibly if Bray Wyatt returns, we'll see then.
Interesting, because I've seen the description of this match, obviously being a rubber match. I honestly had to Google what a rubber match was, because I'd never heard the term in like all the time I've been watching wrestling. I thought, are they going to be in special latex suits? Are they going to be hitting each other with rubber bands? I'm not sure. Anyway, but back to the match itself. I don't think Bray Wyatt is at the end of this. I think the end of this is probably going to be decided by a potentially fit Randy Orton with his connection with Rhodes, setting up a potential feud between Lesnar and Orton going forward, leaving Rhodes to go back towards Roman Reigns. I think Rhodes will get the victory, but the reason for that is that if he can't get past Brock Lesnar, what chance has he got to get past Roman Reigns in the future, right? So being the third encounter, it'll be really interesting to see which way it goes, but I can't see anything other than a Cody win on this one.
I did hear rumors about a return. I did not hear the rumor about Randy Orton, so that's exciting. If Randy Orton does return in this match, I honestly hope it's after Cody wins, and then act like he's celebrating with Cody, and then hit him with an RKO. That'd be great. Set up a Randy versus Cody feud that we've been waiting for. Anyways, this match is interesting because I've been hoping for a stipulation, because I don't want this match to be quick. I would like to see Cody and Brock fight in person for a bit longer. But if they're not going to stipulation route, I honestly hope WWE gives Cody and Brock the get-go to just turn this into a complete bloodbath, because I think this is what this feud needs. But I think Cody's the obvious pick here. Whether there's a return afterwards, I don't think there will be a return during the match, but whether Bray Wyatt or Randy Orton return to set up either a feud with Brock or Cody, I don't know which route they'll go, but I know Cody's going to win this one.
Yeah, I think I'll have to agree with everyone else. Anyone other than Cody winning here just doesn't make a lot of sense. Finishing his story and what feels like just a bit of a filler feud, just kind of buying time to get him back into the main title picture. I don't want to speak for everyone else, but I'll be happy to see him move on to someone else, whether that be Bray, Randy, or even Seth, maybe, or maybe kickstart the story again with Roman. I think it's a little too early for that, but maybe after another feud or two, if he's going to take that title from Roman, you have to build that one for all it's worth, right? So maybe a couple more months down the line. Personally, I'd rather see him go back to Rollins. I really enjoyed that feud, and would love to see more of that more than I would Roman. But yeah, I think Cody's the easiest choice, probably the easiest choice of the night, in my opinion. So we'll see.
Nice one, guys. Thank you very much. I've got these weird images in my head now of Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes walking out in full latex suits, thanks to Dan. So that would be rather amusing, and it's quite the spectacle, right? I think we could safely say. Thankfully, nothing like that. But yeah, let's get down and let's move on from this one. Let's now focus on something a little bit different, and we're going to be talking about Logan Paul up against Ricochet. So obviously this goes back to their encounter at the Royal Rumble earlier in the year when they did the springboard, I guess you want to say crossbody against each other, closest thing you can really describe it as. But yeah, that moment there led to a little bit of like a delayed snowball eventually down the line. Got to Money in the Bank. They had their little bit of a spat during that match, and then obviously altercations coming after that, which led to us to here at SummerSlam. And yeah, I mean, this one's one of those interesting ones. Every time Logan's gotten in the ring, he's been killing it. He's been better than I think he has any right to be. Ricochet, I don't remember the last time Ricochet had a premium live event victory, or like a big victory that's sort of like on this type of scale, perhaps, I guess you could say. So there's a couple of very interesting dimensions here. I think this is one that really could go either way. Logan defeating Ricochet would be a massive statement. Obviously, it's been sort of a case of you don't belong here type thing in the build up to this. And, you know, like, I think Logan's sort of like looking to prove himself that he can hang with like Ricochet and he's better than them. That's sort of his understanding of this match. If I had to pick a winner from this one, I am going to go with Logan Paul. I think Logan's going to beat Ricochet here. But I'm sort of back and forth between this one. I don't really know for definite, like, which way it's going to go 100%. But I think every time I think, yeah, Ricochet would like to win, I don't know if that's just my head thinking, I want Logan to lose sort of thing, you know? So I think Logan is going to win. He's going to pull out some sort of, like, sneaky win in the end. It won't cause Ricochet any issues going forward, I don't think. I think it would just be fine. But yeah, Logan's get the win. That's my, I guess, opinion on this one.
Yes, I'm agreeing to KP again this one. I'm going to go with Logan Paul to pick up the victory. This is the reason why I picked this is because obviously Logan Paul's been losing loads of matches since he came back last year. So my winner is Logan Paul to win this match.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Logan Paul again for me for this one. Only reason being is that he's lost his last 4 matches in WWE. And to be fair, for someone who's had less than 10 professional wrestling matches, he is wonderful for the sport, right? Obviously he's had a chance to main event with Roman Reigns in one chance, but the fact that he brings those kind of high risk spots, and again with this match, which you're just going to get nothing but like an aerial attack from both sides, it's going to be really interesting to watch. It'll be a real pleaser, and when you talk about social media moments, I'm sure there'll be a few of those in this. Both very athletic guys. Yeah, Ricochet in the promos leading up to this, I think he's been very poor. I think Logan Paul has demolished him in all the promos, and just come out on top with more personality and more character. He plays a heel so well, and I think that yeah, I can't see any further than my man Logan Paul in this one.
I think this match is primed to have a ton of viral moments. I think that's why they're having this feud in the first place. I don't know what Logan Paul and Ricochet are going to pull off at SummerSlam, and I know I'm going back and forth on this. I have no idea who's going to win. I'm just going to go ahead and make a pick. I have not been able to make a conclusion on who's winning this match, because at the same time, when you guys say this is an easy win for Logan Paul to get like a quick win, a good win on his record, at the same time, I look at this as like this would be a huge win for Triple H to give one of his favorite guys, Ricochet, a huge win as well. So I think I'm gonna go with Logan Paul. I think he's been dominating the feud, and I I don't know. I think Logan Paul deserves to get the win at SummerSlam.
Yeah, as previously mentioned by several of you, you know, what the big thing holding Ricochet back is his inability to cut a promo. And as Dan mentioned, Logan Paul has pretty much destroyed Ricochet in that department. But unfortunately, until he gets better Ricochet at promos, unfortunately, I don't think he'll ever get that big push. I'd love to be wrong, but I just don't see that happening. Whereas Logan Paul came on the scene and can do, you know, promos and wrestling better than a good portion of the roster, better than he should be able to. So I think, unfortunately, they have kind of booked themselves into a corner where both of these guys do need wins. But at the end of the day, I think Ricochet can eat a loss here, and his ability to wrestle is just is so high up there that I don't think a loss hurts him here. Whereas Logan Paul, if he does want to be considered a main event talent, which I think he could be, he does need to win this, having lost 4 of his last 5. So I think Logan Paul will win this, and but I could see the feud continuing. But I think if it continues much longer, with how the promos have been going, I don't think Ricochet needs that for his career. So kind of hope this is the end of it.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much there. Unanimous decisions all round so far. So we're on the same sort of wavelength here, right? Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. Like I think Dan said, it's going to be an aerial assault from both guys throughout the duration. So it should be an entertaining watch for definite. Okay, so what have we got next up on the agenda then? Let's have a little chat about the World Heavyweight Championship match. So we've got obviously Seth freaking Rollins defending against Finn Balor. And I would say this one goes back to, earlier on in the year, but I think actually it goes on to quite a lot further back than that, doesn't it, really? They keep preluding to, 7 years ago, where these two met for the Universal Championship. Obviously, the way that ended and stuff with Balor getting injured after winning. That's been a massive sort of backstory in terms of the build to this one. Like, obviously, they had their match just gone by at Money in the Bank. Seth would win that one by, all the interference and stuff, by the confusion from Damian Priest, I guess you could say. But, this seems to be a much different Finn Balor in the last few weeks, right? I think we can definitely say that. He's turned the intensity up, and he wants this more than anything. That is a certainty. As to how this one's going to go down, you've got a fair few different factors here. So you got to think Seth and Finn, who's going to walk out of this between the two of them as the champion? Okay, yep, sure, that's one way of looking at it. And then you can also think, well, Damian Priest is lurking around in the shadows. Could he get involved? I have been umming and ahhing about what I think is going to happen here, and there is a very sort of clear vision as to what could go down. And I think they are going to go down that route. So I think how this one's going to go is you're going to have Seth and Finn go at it. I think Finn's going to beat Seth. I think that's how it's going to be. We're going to get a new World Heavyweight Champion. And then I think almost immediately afterwards, perhaps Damian Priest comes out to celebrate and stuff with Finn. I don't know. I think it's going to result, though, in Damian cashing in on Finn there and then. I think that's going to be how it goes down. I think Damian's going to walk out as the World Heavyweight Champion at SummerSlam after a successful cash-in. I think it's going to be after the match. I could see it happening during as well, but I think it might be afterward. I think they'll give Finn his sort of victory, and then he'll have it taken away from him moments later, which is, you could argue, is very similar to how the Universal Championship match went all those years ago. So yeah, I think that's going to be how this one goes down. Kurt, what are your thoughts regarding this one then, buddy?
So for this match, obviously, as KP said, that you can have interference of Damian Priest coming down with a Money in the Bank contract. I'm going with Seth Rollins to retain the championship. I don't think it's time to lose the title yet, as he just had it for a few months so far. I think Damian will probably try to come in and do what he did at Money in the Bank, like tease Finn that he's going to cash in and try and set up a feud with him and possibly break up the Judgment Day that time.
Thanks, Kurt. Yeah, the potential for Mr. Priest to cash in here is very real, right? So all these teases that we've had laying up to this, where there's been conversations backstage and you see little bits of aggro between Finn and Damian Priest, is just leading up to where this is. I don't think that Seth will lose on this occasion But what I will see, and what I will say also, is the fact that Priest will probably cash in on Seth when he's down and tired after beating Finn, with Finn Balor rolling out the ring, and then Damien would cash in the Money in the Bank contract with the briefcase, and then Finn to actually do a coup de grace to end Damien Priest's attempted cash in attempt. So I think that's where the kind of the end of the Judgment Day comes from. That I think Finn will just say, this is my title shot. You're not having any of it. So that's the only way that I can see that going. For Seth to lose it at this point would be like a real hard stop in terms of all the kind of hard work, and he's very hot at the minute, as you know, with the crowd. I still wonder whether it's just the song that's hot, not Seth. Although Seth is an incredible performer. I think the WWE fans, as fickle as we are, we just like to sing along. So it'd be really interesting to see which way it goes, but I can't see anything further than a Seth win here.
I mean, when we're talking Seth versus Finn and what Finn's done in his career, I think WWE has to give Finn the win, because I really do feel like he got screwed out of a huge title reign 7 years ago, and now they gave the title back to the man that pretty much he got injured from. And I think this is like one of the last times that Finn Balor could potentially be a world champion. And if he doesn't win here, I do not know when he will pick up a world title in WWE. I think Finn's going to pick up the win against Seth Rollins. And then it seems some of you guys have forgotten Finn Balor and JD McDonough had talks a couple times. I think Damian Priest will attempt to cash in on Finn Balor, but I think JD McDonough, new member of the Judgment Day, will come out and stop Damian Priest from attacking Finn, and that could set up sort of a tension between Mr. Money in the Bank and the current world champion Finn Balor, and then also adding JD McDonough into the mix, because Finn and JD have had talks before, and I think this is where JD comes into play in the Judgment Day, stopping Priest from cashing in on Finn Balor.
So if there's one person that's more deserving of this title than Seth, I would say it is Finn as well. And I think Seth winning this was not a coincidence to set up this rematch. I think giving his title to AJ you wouldn't have been able to go through with the storyline. So I too believe that Finn is going to win the title. All those rumors they had a while back that Seth wasn't going to win it because of his TV work and all of that, I think maybe could play a part in this decision. But I think Finn winning here, but I don't think Damien is going to cash in. I think he might try his cash in before the match is over, maybe causing Seth to lose. It's an interesting bit though, but and maybe he won't. I don't think he'll actually get the official cash in, but just the tease of it. And then I think they're going to continue the feud, because I don't think that Judgment Day is breaking up quite yet. And I think that they're going to ride that momentum of the Judgment Day, because the fact that Finn's the only one without a title right now or some sort of prop, I guess you can call Damien's current Money in the Bank briefcase, but it's kind of criminal. I think Finn needs to win that to continue to push the Judgment Day, and I think they'll ride that story kind of similar to how they did with the Bloodline. I think it'll be a very long ongoing story, and I think they'll continue to tease that for some time. But I really want Finn to win here, and I think he deserves obviously a very long reign.
Yeah, I agree. I think Finn does deserve it. It would be nice to see him pick up another world title. As to what happens afterwards, maybe Nikolai's on something there with the JD McDonough influence, perhaps. We have seen, the conversations happening in the background. So perhaps he does show up and, asserts himself in this situation. That would be pretty cool.
This is one of the matches I'm most excited for, because the build has been insane, and I do not know what's going to happen. So, obviously I'm looking at this card as I'm going to be in my seat watching this. So, this is one of the matches I'm most invested in.
It is a really cool sounding match. I think because of the avenues you can go down, because of how many options there could be, I think it just makes it for a much more interesting situation for definite. So I agree with you, man, 100%. Okay, so how about we move on now on to our next topic of conversation, and we're going to be discussing now Ronda Rousey versus Shayna Baszler. And in the graphic on the screen, it doesn't say it, but this one will be contested under MMA rules. As to what that is, I'm assuming it's basically submissions or knockouts, I would imagine. I don't know if that's like the these set rules per se for definite, but I think that's probably what's going to be. So yeah, Ronda Rousey up against Shayna Baszler. I think with this one, it's a very interesting one because obviously you had Shayna turn her back on Ronda. They would lose the tag titles, and that sort of led to the build up to this one, where it's been pretty heated between the two of them. Let's say I think that's safe to say. Shayna getting the early sort of like dominance in the build up to the match at the start of the feud, and then Ronda sort of like picking things up and bringing it to Shayna herself. It's been quite even throughout, I think. So it was like back and forth type between the two of these. Come the match at SummerSlam, MMA rules, obviously it plays into both these women's wheelhouse, really. They're both in that, well, they both have that history with the MMA. I really want to say Shayna Baszler for this one to get the win. There are obviously conflicting rumors about, Ronda Rousey might be leaving after this. You take obviously what you want with the dirt sheet, take them with a pinch of salt, yada, yada, yada. I just think a win for Shayna here really puts her in a great position. If she beats Ronda Rousey at SummerSlam, like that's huge, right? That's her first big win, really, you can say, since like Elimination Chamber all those years ago. She hasn't really had a massive win since then. So I just think in order to make Shayna the threat that I think she can be, and we've seen her be that threat in NXT, she has to beat Ronda Rousey here. So that's my thinking for this one. I think Shayna's going to win. She's going to defeat Ronda. And who knows, maybe we'll see the back of Rousey then. I'm not too sure. But I'm going to go with Shayna to get the win.
So I got to go with the win of Shayna Baszler to pick up the win for this one. As her WWE debut came in WWE, she hasn't been having like these upper matches regularly. So I think this has been a big push for Shayna Baszler to put a big win on Ronda Rousey. And after she's done that, she'll go on to big and better person. And I think she'll be the person who gets the WWE title in the future coming up. So I think Shayna Baszler will beat Ronda Rousey.
The turn at Money in the Bank was the thing that confused me. It came out of the blue. There was no kind of build up to it, no kind of suspicious looks backstage or anything like it. It was just completely out of the blue. It was really random. So that would confuse me at the start of it. But just on Shayna Baszler, I think that she's had some really questionable booking over the years that she's been in WWE. I think that, she is far better than what she's been portrayed as. And I think she's got so much potential with her MMA background and her kind of proper real wrestling skills. Can't see any further than Shayna Baszler winning this one. Hopefully it's a step up for her to propel herself into the future for future matches. But yeah, still really confused over the turn. But anyway, I'm going to go with Shayna Baszler for this one.
I don't know what to expect in this match. And I think the build to this match has been really good and really underrated. Like, I think Shayna Baszler has brought out the best we've seen in Ronda Rousey in her career. The emotion that Rousey has shown in the segments they've had, I really wouldn't consider them promos, but like, because they've been like edited videos and stuff. But like on Raw, Shayna Baszler had Ronda Rousey crying during the promo and everything. So the build to this match has been underrated, and some fans have been complaining that this match is on the card over others. But to be honest, this build, I'm honestly shocked that this build actually has me interested in a Ronda Rousey match. But I think Shayna Baszler is going to beat Ronda Rousey via knockout. I think Baszler winning by knockout actually proves more dominance than winning by submission. So I think Baszler beats Rousey by knockout, and that's the last time we see Ronda Rousey in a WWE ring.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't disagree with anyone. Even if you don't have any social media accounts and are just watching the show, the speed in which they've gotten to this match was a lot quicker than it should have been. I think this, and to Nikolai's point, I agree. I think this feud has been quite good so far, from a promo standpoint. So to think of what could have been if Ronda wasn't going out the door, like everyone seems to say, we had like a half a year feud, how good this could have been. And it should have been, with how much history these two have. Unfortunately, I do think, there's no other, you can't make any other sense of it, with how quickly it's been booked, that Ronda is losing here and probably out the door. That being said, I do like the point Nikolai made about Baszler getting a convincing win here. Putting her back on top where she should be. And what better way to do that than beat Ronda Rousey in dominating fashion? So if she is out, then make it a good one and give Shayna that push she's deserved for so long.
Agreed. Shayna's been almost irrelevant for such a long period of time now, and I think this is the opportunity where she can get a massive win here and just go from there, see what happens. I think she does deserve it, like you said. Okay, so having said that, how about we move on now and let's have a little discussion about our next topic of conversation, which is going to be the triple threat women's championship match featuring the likes of Charlotte Flair, Bianca Belair, and Asuka, the current champion. So, yeah, this one's been one of those interesting ones. You've had Asuka defending against Charlotte in the build-up to this, and also defending against Bianca, and then the other two who weren't involved. Well, the other one who wasn't involved in those matches would be getting involved, causing distractions, trying to basically just stop that from going along. And yeah, all three of these women sort of intertwined with each other in the build-up to this one, setting up for the logical triple threat match. I mean, you can say what you like about Charlotte, but she has a fantastic record at SummerSlam. I think she's 5-0, I think I've heard. So she's building up a steady sort of run when it comes to the biggest party of the summer. And yeah, I don't think you want to discredit her too easily in this one. You got the likes of Bianca Belair, who was a former champion. She lost the belt, lost the championship to Asuka. And then obviously it would be rebranded as the Women's Championship. She's just come off a really long title run. I don't think Bianca is going to win this one. I really don't think so. So then obviously that leaves the champion Asuka and Charlotte. I would love for Asuka to get a massive win here. I think she deserves a really, really big victory on a big stage. I am definitely torn between Asuka and Charlotte. I really, really am. But I just think that Asuka is the better choice out of the two of them right now. So I'm probably, I'm going to stick with Asuka here. I'm going to say Asuka defeats Charlotte and Bianca. As to what happens regarding the ending, I couldn't tell you what the hell's going to go down. But yeah, I want Asuka to win, and I think she probably will as well. So
for this one, I'm disagreeing with KP this one. I don't think Asuka will retain this title. I think so. At this point, I think Charlotte, because obviously she's going to be in all these title matches, to try and get the same record as her dad, Ric Flair. So that probably could possibly happen. Then I reckon Io Sky will come down to the ring and cash the Money in the Bank contract. Because I don't think Io Sky will probably pick up the win. I think it's going to be one of those Money in the Bank cash-ins that won't achieve. So that's why I'm picking Charlotte Flair to win this match.
Yeah, thanks, Kurt. Yeah, the triple threat is an interesting one. Charlotte, just because of a history, would by far win out of all these three. But I think obviously there is the side angle there that now includes Io Sky with Bayley, by the way, who both are influencing the kind of decisions for the championship. I don't think it's purely an Io decision. If it does come between Bayley and Io, then I think there will be a bit of an argument ringside, which could potentially cause havoc and potentially miss even a cash-in. I think Asuka retaining the title is a good decision. I think that she is right to continue a kind of that kind of rivalry that she does have with Io. And I think that is a storyline worth telling. I think if Asuka doesn't have a belt around her, then that storyline dies off. But I think that it's usually gold when those two come together, as we've seen in the ring many a time. So I think that Asuka's going to retain here with some poison mist just added into it.
I want to say Asuka, but I think this is where the cash-in comes in at SummerSlam, because WWE is known to be quick with their women's Money in the Bank cash-in, and I think this is where they do it. Although I think they do it by having Charlotte Flair win the triple threat, and then that's where I think Io Sky comes in and cashes in. I think Io will cash in on Charlotte Flair and will walk out as the new women's championship, whatever they call it. Although I do think Asuka retaining is the right decision, but it is a WWE after all, and we all know how they want Charlotte Flair they don't even care how good her title reigns are. They just want her to rack up her title reigns so she can pass her dad's record and whatever. Yeah, that's how I think it's going to go down.
But the fact that Charlotte is in this match in the first place is, more of the same, I suppose. But unfortunately, Bianca's going to get the short end of the stick here. I don't think anyone's giving her a chance. But she should have a one-on-one match here with Asuka instead of Charlotte being in the picture. But here we are. I think the only clear decision here is Bianca's probably going to take the pin. And then I can see both scenarios that have already been pointed out. Asuka retains, and then but then Charlotte kind of gets the short end of the stick, which I don't see that happening. If that is how that goes down with Io, it clearly will be at ringside in some way, shape, or form. I like the idea of, if Charlotte wins, Io immediately cashing in, but and you can still have the rivalry either way if Asuka wins or if Charlotte gets cashed in on. I think it's almost a guarantee that we have to get the Io versus Asuka rivalry. Whether how we get it, I'm unsure of, but I just want Asuka to get a good reign here. So I'm going to just pick Asuka to retain, and then kind of continue a feud here with the cash-in of and the tease of the cash-in of Io. I don't think we'll have two cash-ins on the same evening, though. So I think they'll have to pick which one of those. I don't think both Damian and Io will cash on the same night, but I do hope Asuka, and I'm going to pick Asuka to win.
Yeah, that's my understanding with the Money in the Bank cash-ins as well. I think it's going to be one or the other. I think it's ridiculously unlikely that they'll do both on the same night, but I guess you never know, I suppose. Right, okay, so let's shift our attention now then to our next matchup, and that is going to be for the Intercontinental Championship. The reigning champion, Der Ring General, defends up against a returning Drew McIntyre. So obviously we saw him come back a month ago at Money in the Bank when they were over in the UK to a very big pop there over in London. And yeah, it's basically been a case of Drew's back. He wants the Intercontinental Championship, and he's going to take it from Gunther. I don't believe that's going to happen. I think that each time we do one of these videos, obviously, it always comes down to Honky Tonk's record, and Gunther's going to break it. And I'm still definitely on that mindset. I think it's going to be a case of Gunther's got this championship for the long haul. He's got it for the intentions of breaking the records for longest reign of it, and I don't see that changing. Even with someone like Drew McIntyre, who's obviously incredible, one of the best I think going, and a definitely credible threat for Gunther at this point. I just think that I can't look past him. I really, really can't. Gunther's going to win against Drew. It's probably going to be a really, really good match, very hard hitting. Possibly even throwing shades back to when Gunther took on Sheamus at Clash of the Castle. Gives me those sort of vibes, perhaps, that sort of intensity. Yeah, I think it's going to be an absolute slobber knocker, this one. But yeah, Gunther to get the win over Drew and successfully defend, and then go on to break Honky Tonk's record shortly afterwards. I think it's within a month, isn't it? I think we're getting close now, aren't we? I don't think it's too far away. But yeah, Gunther to win. That's my understanding for this one.
So for this match, I'm disagreeing to KP for this one. I'm going to go for Drew McIntyre to get the new IFC title, because obviously, as KP said, if Gunther retain it, it'll be because he's doing the he'll be training up to beat Honky Tonk Man record. But I'm going with Drew McIntyre for this one because he's returned back and he's going to get the title and probably do more opportunities and probably beat Gunther's record and beat Honky Tonk Man's record. And if Drew McIntyre wins, I'm expecting Gunther and all the Imperiums come to attack Drew McIntyre, and then Riddle comes out to help Drew McIntyre attack them all. And then this is when I think Randy Orton will return and come out to help all of them, help Drew McIntyre and Riddle to defeat them all and build a feud up against all three of them in the next event. So that's what I think will happen soon. So that's why I'm going for Drew McIntyre to win this match and get the new title, and hopefully Randy Orton return to come in this match.
Thanks, Kurt. I'm sorry, my man. I have to disagree. I can't see Drew McIntyre winning this. And the King General will take this. I'm sorry, I'm still laughing at Corey Graves doing all of his commentary of Ludwig Kaiser the other day. Still laughing about that. Listen, Drew at the moment is in a very weird place where he went from being a huge face in Clash of the Castle last year to just returning. Obviously, he's up against Gunther, one of the hottest guys in the industry at the minute. But I still don't think he'll ever get that big push as the champion as he did during the kind of the COVID times. I don't think that he's going to win this. And I think, he will, Gunther especially, will get that longest reigning Intercontinental title reign. Honky Tonk Man, of course, has held that, but Gunther is 10 times better than the Honky Tonk Man. He doesn't have a guitar. He doesn't smash people over the head with a guitar. So that's always a good thing. Interesting point that you made, though, Kurt, about Randy Orton potentially returning in this one with the connection with Riddle. Yeah, possibly. That kind of pricked my ears up when you said that. In terms of him coming in to try and assist Riddle, that'll be quite interesting. But for this one, I cannot see any further than Gunther taking this one. Unfortunately, Gunther for the win.
No, I don't think Honky Tonk's record should play a factor into Gunther retaining, because as cool as the record is for Gunther to be technically called the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, I already think that Gunther has surpassed being the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, whether he's not broken the record yet or not. I think Gunther retains because I've already predicted 2 new champions on the show, and I don't think there'll be 3, although it is SummerSlam and anything could happen. I just don't see Gunther losing yet. I think the man to beat Gunther will be Ilya Dragunov. I think that's who will end up beating Gunther in the near future.
So unfortunately, I have to disagree with you, Nikolai. I think, unfortunately, whether you like it or not, the title reigns records do come into play a lot. You could argue that's why Roman's held it as long as he had. But not to get into that discussion, keeping this match here, I think it was kind of attested to already. I think Drew, unfortunately, while I think this will be a good match, I don't think he's going to beat Gunther, and I think we can all agree that Gunther is a much better record holder than Honky Tonk Man as an Intercontinental Champion record holder. I don't see Gunther losing here either. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. That being said, I would not mind at all to see this feud continue, and maybe eventually giving Drew the title. But here and now, I don't see that happening. And but I think Gunther is going to be on eventually to bigger and better things. As soon as he breaks that record, I very much see that happening.
Nice one. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate that. Yeah, I agree with Scarlett as well. I think the numbers do come into play, unfortunately. But I also agree with Nikolai. I think that he, is probably up there in the conversation as the greatest Intercontinental Champion, just because of what he's done for the belt, just because of the people he's beaten. and how he's sort of gone about his business. He takes everything so seriously, and he wanted to be as big as the world titles. That's clear as day. But yeah, I think everyone's talking like their own like individual facts here. But yeah, I think as long as Gunter wins, I'll be happy. So yeah, I think we've only got one more match left to talk about. Is that right? I have a feeling we're on the main event now. Yes, we are. So our main event comes to us via Tribal Combat for the Universal Undisputed Championship, and Roman Reigns obviously defends against his cousin Jey Uso. So obviously the build-out for this one has been the likes of Jimmy and Jay bringing it to the Tribal Chief and Solo Sikoa, and then they would take out Jimmy Uso many weeks ago now. I thought it was probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I think it might have even been a bit longer. Leaving Jay to basically go, ironically, solo in this story and to bring it to the Tribal Chief. So we're running it back 3 years ago to, I think it was Hell in a Cell, that last match, was it, I believe? So yeah, like 3 years ago until that story, and we get another go at this one. It was great back then, and it's still pretty good now. Still definitely enjoying the the whole Bloodline story. And this is going to be an interesting one, because I think come the end of this, it's really unclear as to what direction it can possibly go in. But I think there's only one way this match is going to go, and that's with Roman Reigns walking out as still the champion. But I'm looking forward to this one. Tribal Combat. Apparently, Tribal Combat, I've been told, is no disqualifications. I don't know if there's anything more than that. There's a little bit of chat online about it means that no one else is meant to be involved, but ultimately we know that's going to be a complete load of bollocks. People are going to get involved in this one. So yeah, I don't know about the whole Tribal Combat stipulation. It sounds great. It sounds cool. Tribal Chief status on the line as well. But yeah, Roman to win. Roman beats Jay in what should be a pretty compelling main event. Should be good though.
I got to go differently to KP this one. I'm going to go with Jey Uso to win the undisputed title for this one. The reason why I'm going for this is because obviously Roman Reigns' record is going off now for loads of times, and he's beaten loads of people. I think the twist on this one will be Jimmy Uso retained from his injury. Try and help Jey Uso to win Roman Reigns, as it's a no disqualification match, as KP said. He'll interfere in the match, giving Roman Reigns a super kick. Then I think Solo Sikoa comes in and possibly heel turn to Roman, as he tried to stop Solo from hitting Jey Uso on SmackDown a few SmackDowns back, and possibly turning on Roman. Or if Solo hits someone, I think Roman accidentally spears into Solo, and then Solo heel turn onto him, something like that. Loads of different ways to come.
Thanks, Kurt. Yeah, in a perfect world, Uso would defeat Reigns and pay off a story that began nearly over 3 years ago now. But I cannot see it happening. I think that if you go to a main event in WrestleMania next year where it's Cody Rhodes against Jey Uso, then I think it cheapens it massively. I think that Roman will still be there. He'll still be the main man. But I think the kind of the twist in the story that's going to happen at SummerSlam perhaps will be Solo leaving Roman Reigns' side, leaving just the Tribal Chief versus whoever his next opponents will be, and going it alone to prove that he can do it on his own, that he doesn't need the Usos by his side. I think he will win. I think it will be a narrow win over Jay, who's proved himself to be a top contender and a top kind of face of the company now. But I can't see any further than a Roman win. Interesting point though. As it is Tribal Combat, will we see any of the tribal elders there, such as like Rikishi or some of those lads turning up? The Rock, doubt it. He's too busy. But I think potentially Rikishi could make some sort of entrance and try and save his boys. And I think this is where Solo defends his dad if like Roman tried to turn on Rikishi. But yeah, that's just an outside shot.
As much as I want to say Jay is gonna win, that's just not happening. Unless WWE actually pulls a trigger and completely shocks the entire WWE universe which they've been known to do in the past, but that's a long time ago. They have not done that in the recent. I think the only way we'd see Jay winning this match is if Solo stabs his back on Roman Reigns in the middle of the match, which could happen. It could happen. I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen in this match, and that's the beauty of this entire Bloodline story. I think something massive is going to happen, and I don't know if any of us have predicted it, and I don't even know if I can predict what's going to happen in this match, but something massive in this Bloodline story is going to happen at SummerSlam, and hell, maybe Jay does win, but I'm going to go Roman Reigns retaining, but this might be the most cinematic masterpiece that we've seen in the Bloodline story. To be honest, this entire Bloodline story pretty much has revolved around Jey Uso as much as we want to think it revolves around Roman Reigns. But this thing started from Jey Uso. There's no Bloodline story if Jimmy wasn't hurt and Jey joins the side of Roman Reigns. And this entire Bloodline story has been 3 years of growth of Jey Uso, and now will he finally be able to dethrone Roman Reigns, finally be able to get the win? Will he finally be able to get over the edge that he wasn't able to do 2 to 3 years ago with the Thunderdome era? That's what this match is about. Now that I said that, like, could Jay win? Could Jay win with that story being told? Probably not, but this is an interesting match. I'm gonna go ahead and pick Roman Reigns to win, but I think something massive is gonna happen that I don't think we're expecting it. I don't think we're expecting what's gonna happen in this match.
Yeah, it's very interesting points being made there. I just don't think Jay is ready for the main event picture, even if you put a main event for his name. Something interesting that hasn't been mentioned, and maybe I've missed something on the weekly shows, but Jimmy is surely this would be a perfect opportunity for him to come back. Maybe it's been announced that he won't be, and I missed that. But it would be weird if he, isn't still injured and not here to help defend Jay. But yeah, in storyline, the way they told it, for how long they told it, it does make sense for Jay to win. I just, from a business standpoint, putting the title on after 3 years of title reign, putting it on Jay just seems a little bit underwhelming in my opinion. Yeah, you guys can disagree with me if you'd like, but I just don't see that happening. I think there are very few people in the company worthy of taking this belt off of Roman, and I just don't see Jay as one of them. So I think it'll obviously be a good match, as most of these matches within the Bloodline have been. But I think Roman will find a way to keep it.
Yeah, Nikolai brought up a really fascinating point there about I think something massive is going to go down here in the Bloodline story. I think he's right. I think something massive has to happen for this to culminate. Yeah, I'm not sure what. I really don't know. But, all these twists and turns in the story, this is going to be the next chapter. And obviously, whatever happens from then on, I'm sure we'll probably enjoy as much as we have done up until now. But yeah, definitely something big I think is coming, but I just don't know what. It'd be great to see what happens, though.
I got one last question for everyone in here.
Go for it.
It is SummerSlam season, and WWE is primed for returns. So obviously we're going to see some returns, maybe 1 or 2 or 3. What returns is everyone seeing happen at SummerSlam? Who's showing up?
All right, way to put people on the spot. I'll kick us off. I think probably the most, I don't know if it's just me wanting them to return or if I think it genuinely could happen, but I'm going to go with Randy Orton here. I think it would be great to see him back and have like another run. Don't think his last run is one that he wants to end his career on. I hope that he's fit and healthy, and I think it's the same for most of the people that I'm thinking of in my head. But I would love to see Randy Orton, and I think maybe a slightly more realistic one could be Bray Wyatt. But yeah, I'm going to go with Randy and maybe even Bray as well.
So I'm agreeing with KP for this one. I'm going with Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, I'm a massive Bray Wyatt fan, and I'm hoping it is Bray after such a long time out. That would be my main aim.
If they have the Grayson Waller effect at some point, if Grayson Waller shows up at SummerSlam in some way, shape, or form, it would not surprise me if The Rock showed up. Now, I don't know if that will happen. Maybe that's where Randy Orton comes into play. But since Riddle's on Raw, I think that's where Randy Orton would turn Grayson Waller as a SmackDown guy. Unless they just have Randy Orton show up for like a quick match against Grayson Waller and then go to Raw. But it wouldn't make much sense for him to have a match against a SmackDown guy. So if Grayson Waller does have a segment, I think that's where Randy Orton or The Rock come into play. And then I think Bray Wyatt would be the other guy to return. So either Bray and Randy or Bray and The Rock. I think Bray's for sure returning at SummerSlam, though.
If The Rock is ever going to return, now would be the time, right? You know, no recordings, no movie schedules. At least for now, if he was going to return, it would make sense that this would be the time. I think one that I would like to see personally, and I think is overdue, would be Braun Breaker. I have no idea where you'd fit him in. You know, maybe a Grayson Waller show, if they end up putting that on there, maybe that would work. But Grayson Waller being here would make sense. And that, you know, at SummerSlam, that kind of his character has the, you know, the beach Australian kind of vibe to it. So it would make sense that he would be on here, and maybe that's where you fit him in. But it's a little more just to say something different. So I'm all for anyone that's been mentioned so far.
Yeah, same. Any and all of those, you know, would be fantastic. I wouldn't complain about any of those, to be honest with you. I think, yeah, if Grayson Waller comes out, we could be graced by the presence of the electrifying one, to put it that way. Yeah, I think maybe it could be a real possibility, but that's exciting, right? That we're thinking of these kind of names, and they could all be involved.
It's because WWE's been teasing it. Grayson Waller with the people's elbow, and then they post about it with like eyeball. They're teasing it, and I don't know why.
Yeah, they have, and I think Grayson Waller was on the bump a few weeks ago, and he was talking about it then as well. You were saying like he knows where I am and stuff. Like if he wants the Grayson Waller rub. So
and on a random podcast the other day, he did call him out. He sent the invitation to The Rock for SummerSlam. I don't know if that will play any effect, but that was on like a random podcast the other day that he was on.
So yeah, they are definitely putting the hints in and teasing it for sure. It'd be disappointing if it doesn't happen now.
KP, I don't know whether you saw it during the week, but over the last few weeks, actually, on the WWE Instagram, they've been teasing The Fiend versus Roman Reigns, just showing like a history of SummerSlams that have happened before, where Roman Reigns has been, you know, where he pinned Braun Strowman to win the triple threat, to win the title that he's had ever since. Never pinned The Fiend, but there's always the circle, the full circle thing that Bray Wyatt always talks about. Things come full circle, and that circle was also posted on it, which is really interesting. So whether Bray Wyatt comes back as The Fiend, even though he has said previously that he wouldn't bring The Fiend back, would be really interesting.
And you know what the next pay-per-view is? Payback. You want to know who won the Universal title at Payback? Roman Reigns. Who he beat? Bray Wyatt.
There you go. That's full circle for you.
Yeah, you can define full circle with that description there, I think. Yeah, I mean, that would be cracking, right? It would be really, really good. Whether it's The Fiend or not, I don't think I personally mind. I think if Bray does go after Roman, I think, you know, where we can all get a popcorn out and we can all enjoy that one for definite. But
I don't think Bray should be taking the loss, though. Like,
agreed.
I don't know if I want to see that. I would want to see that feud, but I don't want to see either of them taking a loss there.
Yeah, it's an awkward one, because if you look at Bray's involvement since coming back, it's not been a whole lot. I'm not sure. It's a hard one, though, but I would love to see him come back and, you know, stick it to Roman and, you know, provide like a really, really top threat to him. That would be great, considering, you know, the full circle thing. But I don't know, interesting one for sure, definitely.
Who is an actual threat to Roman Reigns now? Like literally, out of all the superstars that are at the minute, why could it not be Bray Wyatt? I mean, you know, you look at who's on the roster. Cody is there. Is he quite ready to challenge for that title? I'm not sure. There's Gunter, perhaps. There's also Brock Lesnar. We've been there. We've seen that many a time now. No, I don't think anybody wants to see Brock and Roman again.
No, thank you.
Yeah, there's no big hitters. So if the Fiend were to come back, or if Bray Wyatt's come back in any way, shape, or form, I think that could be a credible threat to Roman.
I'm on the side where I don't think Cody should be the one to beat Roman. I really don't. Cody's whole finisher story, the thing is about winning the Universal title. It's not about beating Roman Reigns. I don't think Cody should be the one to beat Roman. He was not even near close to returning to WWE when this whole title reign started. I think the guy that, honestly, outside of Cody Rhodes, because he's obviously the one to beat Roman Reigns. If I was booking this, the biggest threat to Roman Reigns is the one standing behind his back, and that's Solo Sikoa.
Yeah, I don't think Solo is a bad shout. I think Cody and Gunther, are the obvious choices.
Because I think after Roman Reigns, I think Paul Heyman is going to be with Solo. I think that's the next Paul Heyman guy, is Solo Sikoa. So it would make a lot of sense for Solo to be the one to beat Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman in Solo's corner.
I'm all for that story. I think I thought Seth at one point before he won the next title. Seth and Finn both were options, but I think with Bray, the only issue I could see with him is just his ability to stay healthy. I think that's why they'll always kind of be fearful of putting a title back on him.
I noticed the superstar he hasn't gone against so far yet, probably because he's due to injuries, Randy Orton, because I noticed that Randy Orton always go for a WWE Championship for a match. I wonder if Randy Orton challenges him next and probably go through all them and then lose it at some point.
I could see him challenging, but winning at his age and his current. I see the comments on Bray Wyatt, like, no way they're going to put the title on him. That's just my opinion.
I think I'll weigh in now then after hearing everyone's thoughts. I think the Solo is a really cool idea. I think that's kind of awesome to think about. Roman's biggest threat is literally the person that he is entrusting so much right now. But I think that Gunther is the man to take it from him. I just think that that's the correct call. Like, he's killing it at the moment. He's not doing anything wrong. He'll lose the IC title at some point after he breaks the record, and then he'll be, shot up straight into the main event picture. I guarantee it. So, guys, thank you so very much for joining me today. Obviously, we've gone through all of our opinions. We've had a general discussion, and yeah, SummerSlam is exciting stuff. It's a really good match card, and it's pretty hyped. Hey, guys, thank you very much for tuning in as well. Thank you very much for hearing what we've had to say, and we'll be back with our next video and podcast on the other side of SummerSlam, where we'll be discussing what went down, what we thought of all the matches, rating them, and just basically breaking everything down that happened. So obviously today I have been joined by the likes of Nikolai, Kurt, Scarlett, and Dan, No Cell Club. So thank you all. Thank you to all of you for coming in and casting all of your opinions and thoughts and discussions. This has been another KP Plays YouTube video and podcast on Spotify for Podcasters with me, KP, because that would be me, and with Scarlett, Kurt, Dan, and Nikolai, because that would be them. Cheers, guys. We'll see you later. Yeah.